Hey guys, hope you're doing great. Maxim here. Sorry for such a long time not being on YouTube, but I've been busy with the projects that I've been building for clients and I couldn't really talk about them. But today we're gonna discuss a small part of one of the project, which is a parking lot management system. Yeah, and today is a system design video that is dedicated to database models. So I want you to really kind of understand my thinking process from what I went from as a database model to what I came at the final stage of the development and go into production. So what is the purpose of this app? Is to just manage parkings. Yeah, so there must be some login for the users, and then they can park their vehicle, pay money, and then have their time shown on the user dashboard. Yeah, how much time they have left, right? So right now I will show you my initial database model, which was looking something like this. Yeah, so as for tech stack, first of all, I want to mention that I was using Next.js 14 with app router. I was using Clerk, I was using Supabase as database, I was using Stripe for payments. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So let's look at this. I had my user model, which has ID, email, license plate, Clerk user ID, created it and updated it. Then I had the payment, which has ID, Stripe ID. So here, I mean, we can call it something like payment intent ID. I think it's called this. Amount, currency credited. And parking session, which had ID, initial duration in seconds, extension duration in seconds, total duration in seconds, started it, updated it, ended it, and unit. So here, okay, there are some questions, but let's leave it for now. Here are also some questions, but let's leave it for now. Let's talk about this. So parking session. Why we have three different stuff? Yeah, so initial duration in seconds is kind of when a user creates parking for the first time. Yeah, so for example, I want to park for 1 hour. Extension duration is that, for example, the hour is coming to the end and I want to stay longer. Yeah, so I extend parking for 1 more hour. This is extension of the parking. Total duration is basically parking initial parking duration plus extension parking duration. And that's why we have it. Yeah, so started at is basically when initial parking started. Updated at is when it was extended, and ended at is when it ended. Unit is just in what we measure the time, right? So let's talk why this model is not good. First of all, let's come back here. So obviously we can see that we use Clerk user ID and ID, so we have 2 times ID, which is not really good. Second of all, here we have also payment intent ID and ID, which also is redundant. Yeah, we don't need that many IDs. Now, parking session, yeah, here are the most questions. So here, why it's not good at all is because we are constantly updating the database. So what I mean by that? We have, for example, registered some ID, initial duration, we have no extension, total duration is equal to initial duration, we have started it, updated is equal to started it, and we have some ended it and unit. Now, if the user extends the duration, we need to update the whole database, the whole row, in order to now include the extension duration in seconds and recalculate the total duration in seconds, as well as updated at and ended at. And this is not a general best practice. Yes, so if you can be additive, you definitely need to be additive in databases. You never want to kind of updating it a lot of times, but you would better be adding more rows coordinated to that, right? So now let's go through my thinking process and some variants that I wanted to implement. So here was my kind of second draft of the database model, which includes here parking session where we have start time, duration, and a foreign key to the payment ID, which will be payment intent ID. Then we have parking extension, which has a foreign key to parking session, duration, and foreign key to parking to payment ID. So in this model, we have parking session as a separate database table and parking extension as another completely different database table. and we can have multiple parking extensions to the same parking session, right? And we have payments. So here, as you can see, I have the same payment. But what's the problem now is that the payment has foreign key to parking session, yeah? And so basically with parking extension, it will be really unnecessarily complicated to track the payments, yeah, because it would be better if it had foreign key to parking extension, right? So if we had extension, so what would be a logical solution to that, right? We would do something like extension payment, and we would have something like here creation payment, yeah. So we would have two different database tables for parkings, so session and extension, and we will have two completely separate payment tables for creation and extension. But now the problem is that basically this and this is the same, just the difference is one is creation, one is extension, but the model is the same. And creation payment and extension payment is exactly the same, just the difference is that here is foreign key to parking extension and here is foreign key to parking creation, right? The parking session, I mean. So here is extension as well. So we are really duplicating a lot. This is also not good. Let's move on. So, and now I want to show you the schema that I eventually went with, yeah, the final one. So all the schemas were not really good, let's say it like this. Also, a big question is that we didn't see some edge cases. Like, for example, what if the user wants to park multiple vehicles at the same time, or in general holds multiple vehicles, yeah? So for one account, there will be different vehicles. That's why we cannot have the vehicle as I had it initially in my user ID. Yeah, so here I had the license plate, but we just cannot do that. Also, as I said, we have clerk ID and ID, which is not good. So let me show you the final version, how I eventually fixed all of this. Let's go here. First, we have the home page, where the user can select time and input zip code. Then the user proceeds to the sign up page, where I'm using clerk to sign up using Google, Apple, Microsoft. Well, I'm using just Google and email plus verification. So for sign up page, this is when after a successful sign up, the user model is created. And what user model consists of? ID, which is the same as clerk user ID. Yeah, so I assigned clerk user ID to ID. Then email, zip code, created that, and we have connections to vehicles, payments, parking sessions, and at the end I have also Stripe customer ID. Why I'm including here Stripe customer ID and how it's different to the Stripe ID or payment intent ID that I was mentioning before. So it's general best practice for you to create a Stripe customer ID as soon as you know that the customer is gonna pay, or in general as you have the customer. It will speed up the process, because in the previous schema I was creating Stripe customer ID at the same time when I was creating the payment intent ID. So it would last me longer to go from the page where the user selects all the stuff to the payment page. Yes, the loading time will be just longer. So I reduce it by actually creating Stripe customer ID here. So I make it kind of lighter for the program in general to create the payment intent when the user needs to pay. Yeah, so this time between selection and payment, it will be lower due to that. Now we have select vehicle page. Yeah, so we didn't have it before, but now we have a dedicated page to select vehicle, and it has the vehicle model in the database. So what it consists of? It consists of ID, license plate, created that. It has a foreign key to user ID, yeah, and obviously connected to user, and to parking sessions. Yeah, I mean it's connected to parking sessions. Now we have the checkout page where the user pays. Well, and here I forgot to mention that here user can select or add vehicles. Yeah, so he can have literally like 5, 10 vehicles, whatever is possible. Yeah. Then payment. It has ID, which is the same as payment intent ID. It has amount, currency, created it, foreign key to user ID, parking sessions, and it has status, just successful, unsuccessful, whatever, right? And now the most interesting is the dashboard page. So here the user can see all the cars parked with the time remaining shown, plus buttons to extend time or park another vehicle. Yeah, it's also something that we didn't include in the initial logic, to park another vehicle. Yeah, so what if the user already parked one and he wants not extend the vehicles that he already has, but he wants to park a completely different vehicle? So we need to have this button in the dashboard, and we need to have the logic for that. So let's see the database model. We have here the parking session model, which has the ID started at. We have duration. We have type, which is parking session type, and we can see it here. So it's either creation or extension. Now we have vehicle ID foreign key. We have payment intent as a foreign key, and user ID as a foreign key. So we are literally connecting parking session to all of these three. Yeah, so it's connected to the payment, so that we create a parking session only if the user paid. We connect parking session only if there exists a vehicle. Yeah, so it needs to have a vehicle, and it needs to have a user. And that's the logic that I eventually went with, and the logic that we also use at production. And it's really good. I'm really proud of this model. I think it's best and covers all the scenarios. Yeah. So to sum up, what we did, we went from the model that was very limited, was very redundant, and didn't have the logic to extend car stay properly or to park another vehicle, to a model that has everything separately and very well dedicated models for everything. We have vehicle model, so the user can have multiple vehicles and can park them independently from one another. We also have an improved parking session model that now is connected to all three, so it's additional kind of security checks, and we can track creation and extension really well. Yeah, and now you probably have a question like, Max, how do you calculate the creations and extensions? Yeah, so for example here I have, let's say, creation, then I have a couple of extensions, extension, and let's do one more. Oh wait, sorry, extension, and we have another extension. Yeah, and then for example the user got another creation, but already on the other day. Yeah, so let's make some space here. Creation and one extension, right? So now basically the extensions are everything in between. Can I draw? Yeah, okay. So here I have one creation, right? Here I have another creation. So everything that is in between two creations are extensions. So here I have creation, and I can see exactly that everything in between are extensions. And then I can obviously, to calculate the total time, I can sum up the creation plus this extension and create the total time for this parking session. I mean, for this kind of three parking sessions, yeah, because extension is also a parking session and another extension is also parking session, but for this parking stay at this particular day, we just sum it up, and that's how we get it. So I hope my video doesn't lag that much, because on my recording I see that it lags. But this was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions regarding the database models, system design, or whatever, or you want to roast my models that I'm currently using, please do so in the comments. I'm really excited for your opinion, and I hope I can record actually more videos. So please make sure to follow, like this video, and if you need any consultancy on developing or whatever, I have one call with me for absolutely free. You can book it under the link in my description, and we can talk about any problems you have in the development if you need help. Thank you guys, and bye bye.